Welcome to Business and Wealth Strategy, and my guest today is Karl Davidson. Karl is founder or co-founder, I should say, of Cashflow Club Ireland. Welcome, Karl. Great to have you on here today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Karen, for this lovely opportunity. And yeah, co-founder, because it was actually my wife who, came up with the idea of creating the Cashflow Club Ireland at like 2 a.m. in the morning. She had this kind of idea of like, oh, why don't we just actually create this? And yeah, I always say to people that I'm the beauty behind it. She's the brains, and yeah, my wife is beautiful. So yeah, we at the Cashflow Club Ireland, we just help you get more educated in terms of financial literacy, financial intelligence, mindset, money mindset, money management, personal finance, budgeting, all the good stuff, investing as well, of course, and a little bit of business in there as well. So, yeah,
So you've got gold and silver behind you.
yeah,
I
yeah,
take it there's an emphasis on that with
yeah,
Cashflow Club.
yeah. Well, we cover like a broad range of assets in the kind of cash flow club Ireland. I just have my personal preference, and for me, my very first investment was in 2018. It was in silver. And that had the reason being was because we had a lump sum of money. We didn't know what to do with it. We invested in a Robert Kiyosaki Rich Dad course, and we had a coach there, and we were chatting to him, and we were just saying, look, we've got this money. What do we do with it? And it's like, right, if you don't know what to do with it, at least put it somewhere that's not a bank, because you
Yeah.
lose it, you lose your money. So I said, okay, silver has at the time, like silver was trading at, I think it was like 20, $30 an ounce, which
Yeah.
is, nothing compared to what it's at now. And we said, okay. So then we actually started just investing heavily. Like I'm talking bars, kilos, 5 kilos, that sort of stuff. And yeah, that's just our kind of personal preference. But in terms of the Cashflow Club on a whole, on a holistic level, it's everything. It's crypto, it's stocks and shares, it's business, traditional brick and mortar, online as well. It's gold and silver, of course, and then of course property. So it kind of touches on everything because some people might not be into, for example, crypto, and they might be into property, they might be into stocks, they might not be into, it just kind of depends. So it's kind of a one for all, you just pick and choose what you want. It's like a buffet. Oh,
It's exactly what I teach as well.
yeah, yeah,
Right. And I always believe that you need to have a little bit of everything.
yeah,
You've got to be balanced
mm,
in everything
yeah,
because markets go up, markets go down. We're watching it happening at the
yeah,
moment. We're watching
yeah,
crypto go down. I know gold and silver's coming off a high a little bit at the moment, but
yeah,
it's still pretty high. So,
yeah.
if you were investing in 2018, the profits you're making at the moment are
Yeah,
astronomical.
yeah. And this is something that I preach, and I say that for anyone that's not watching and is listening to us, I'm saying preached in inverted commas. This is something that really resonated with me because I have a background in engineering, electrical engineering, and I've worked on some of the most advanced semiconductor machines on the planet. And for me, I'm always about practicality. I'm always about like, okay. I need something that, is going to move me forward, is going to give me value. I need to see, I need to feel, I need to touch, I need to, be around that. That's just who I am. And that's what a lot of people are. But other people are not like that. And that's totally fine. And then for me, it was just like, let's get in, let's get skin in the game. And yeah, it's been a incredible kind of journey these last number of years because yeah, I just got so excited about it. When I held it in my hand, like I've got a couple of coins here, and like when I held it in my hand, it was just like, oh my God, this is what so many people need, but not many
Yeah.
people will have. you know
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but just that's such is life.
The thing I like about gold and silver
Mm.
is a silver coin. It, well, I have to say, it didn't used to cost you a
Yeah,
lot. If you had $20 or $30, you
yeah,
could buy one a month.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. At gold, you could get little 1 gram bars,
Yeah, yeah,
and you could buy one of those each month.
yeah.
And over time, that just builds to a large stack.
Exactly. And I think it's very important that people understand the small, insignificant decisions that you make now
Yeah.
will set you up for the future. But
Mhm.
those small, insignificant decisions can be good ones or can be bad ones.
Yeah.
And I've made a lot of bad ones in the past, and I learned from that. And it's like, okay, the bad ones only brought me bills. It only brought me stress. It only brought me frustration. And I was like, enough is enough. Like I hate having too much month at the end of my money. I hate having to pay bills that, I'm buying things to impress people that don't even like me. So I was just like, enough of that. Like, and then I started buying things that would grow in value, that would grow. And then I was like, oh my God, like this is exciting. So then I just started sharing the concept and just, chatting to people, talking to people about investing, whatever that is, if it's stocks, if it's crypto, if it's property, whatever, and just getting around the buzz of it because it's like a rising tide lifts all boats. Like when you get around the network, and I know you've got a great network as well, Karen, like when you get around the great network, everyone wins. Like everyone does win, because there's trillions of dollars and euros and yen and pounds and won and all this out there. It's like, well, why can't you have a slice of the pie? So,
Now, the thing I like with gold and silver as well, I'm
mm,
gonna do gold and silver before we move on.
yeah.
But there's a lot of collectors, coin collectors,
Mm,
and in bullion grade,
mm,
you can still get collectors' coins as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And I Marvel and Star Wars and things like that. So,
Yeah.
it was an interesting exercise. I did this exercise about 3 weeks ago
Mm,
where I went on ChatGPT and I said, right, I've got so many of these Marvel coins, so many of these, and I've got
yeah.
these of American Eagle, these are Britannia, these are Maple Leaf. What's it all worth? So that I didn't have to sit down there and calculate.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And I actually had a shock,
Mm.
because yeah, I keep track, well, keep reasonable track, but
Yeah.
gold and silver have been going up so fast
Mm.
that yeah, it was a nice shock to think, well, I'm still putting my little bit away each month
Exactly.
in that.
Exactly.
But it accumulated so much over
Mhm.
time.
And the great thing about investing is that the time is going to pass anyway. So you might as well be disciplined with your money and start putting away 100 or 200, whatever you can afford, even if it's a fractional amount, even if you're buying fractional amounts of stocks, crypto, gold, silver, like keep doing it. And then over time, it builds up and builds up. And then when you look back and you're like, oh my God, like I'm sitting on, I'm sitting on six plus figures of things here, like,
Yeah,
with different assets. And you're just like, wow, like now it's close to seven figures. So it's just an amazing feeling that just making that decision to actually start, can change your whole trajectory as well. Like, and the thing I love about gold and silver, and in my opinion, particularly starting off is like the upfront barrier to kind of, getting it in your hand is not an awful lot of money. It's like, look, if you're a grown adult, right, and you are telling me like you can't afford an extra €100 or £100 each month, well, then I'm sorry, you're not a grown adult, And I don't mean that in any disrespect. I'm just like, well, here, you have to get your money right first before you start investing. And what I mean by that is you have to start budgeting, you have to start understanding what money is and the difference between money and currency as well. It's like, wow,
yeah,
like, a lot of people don't understand that. They get triggered by money. I put a status up today about how yoga people and all those type of hippie people and the good ones as well, they're great people,
yeah,
and they're so triggered by money. If you ever look at, when they try and sell their courses, they're like, oh, the invest, or not the investment, the donation and all. I'm like, get gold and silver, because that's your money, that's actually in alignment with you. So it's an interesting topic as well. Like, but no, it's been an exciting journey for sure. And I think more people are waking up to it, even if you're, a believer in the Bible or whatever, like it's mentioned in the Bible so many times, like, some people just gravitate to that and that's cool. Other people are repelled by it. And again, that's cool. But, it is what it is. And, when I drop a silver coin in someone's hands, 99.9% of everyone that I've dropped a silver coin or a silver bar, they're like, wow. Because they know subconsciously that it's real money, that, it's a vibration, it's a frequency as well. So, um,
When I started coaching, because I've been coaching now for, I don't know, over 10 years
wow, nice,
anyway.
nice.
I used to do live classes. Everything's online now, but
Yeah,
I used
yeah,
to
yeah.
do live classes. And I
Nice.
used to set a challenge
Yeah.
for how much money you could make in your first month,
Oh,
just
nice.
following my what I told you to do that month. And when they came back the next month, the person who had the most, I gave them a silver coin.
Oh, okay, nice, nice. Yeah,
And it was like you said, it was something that they hadn't thought about before. Oh, what's this? What can I do with this? And I'm
yeah.
saying, you don't do anything with it. You just hold it, and
Yeah,
it's eventually going to go up in value.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
when I was doing that, I was buying the the silver coins for around between 16 and 18 pound
Oh, wow.
because I was working in pounds then.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I was buying them for about 16, 18 pounds. And yeah, so I'd give a client one and yeah, the reaction is really
Oh,
interesting.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting, especially because you hold it in your hand, and when you hold it in your hand, you just know, like, it's a beautiful feeling, like. So yeah, it's amazing. Like, I'm getting my little girls now to kind of count in silver coins as well, like, because of a few of them here, like, and it's again, they're saying to me, "Oh, money, money, money," and I'm like, "Yeah," I give them a 50 euro, and they're just like, throw it on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, but no, it's an interesting journey as well. Like, when you start getting into the investing side as well, it's a beautiful feeling, and it's tough though, because you have to kind of unlock and unravel a lot of money issues that you had. Um, and if you're not ready for that step, then just keep working on yourself. And then eventually you'll get
Can I
into.
ask you,
Yeah.
one of the things that I've come across,
Mm,
um, I'd say with clients, but also with just people I interact with,
yeah.
is the fear when the price drops.
Oh,
Now,
dude.
they
Yeah.
haven't lost anything
Yeah.
because it's gone down. Like, I'll just use an example now. Bitcoin, we've been talking about
Yeah. Yeah.
Bitcoin
Yeah.
earlier.
Oh,
And I had a client who he bought Bitcoin, he bought it for about 4 or 5 thousand,
yeah.
right? And it had gone up to 30,000. We're going back a couple of years now, and it's
Yeah.
gone
Yeah.
up to 30,000.
Yeah.
And he went out and it crashed and it
Mm,
was down to 20,000 when he got back.
yeah.
And his focus was on, I've lost 10,000,
Oh, yeah.
instead of thinking, I bought it for this amount and I'm still up that. Do you
Yeah.
come across that? And if
Yeah.
so, how do you actually deal with that with your clients?
When it comes to my clients, like, yeah, it depends. It depends on why they're investing in their certain, asset class. If you're coming in and you want to buy low and sell high, well, what does that actually mean? Are you selling back into the fiat currency, which you don't like in the first place? Like, and even if you are, and sometimes you have to,
Mm.
doodads come up or unforeseen expenses come up, you have to do it and you have to do what you have to do. But like, if you're buying low to sell high, yeah, look, it's a decent strategy, but at the same time, you need to hold on to that vision of long term. There's a really good book called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, I think his second name is. I probably got that wrong, so someone can correct me in the comments. But that book, it really goes into the mindset of the ups and the downs. Like, I've seen it, just in the last kind of bull run of gold and silver, and people's shooting up. But like, you have to remember that, like, the the fiat currency is devaluing over time. And that's why assets rise. Everything is pegged to the US dollar. Like, so even though we bash the fiat currency, right? And yeah, like most majority people do, we still it's there still needs to be something there to place it into, a number value that we can read, so for example, you have a silver 1 ounce coin, 100 US or 85 US dollars now, or 75. You have one Bitcoin is 56,000 euro. You have gold at 5,000 dollars an ounce. So what's that pegged to? Well, it's pegged to the US dollars, it's pegged to euro. So even though we bash fiat currency, we still need it. It's just some fiat currencies are stronger than the others,
Mm.
But it's a really interesting journey that the mindset of the investor goes on when they see the high, they're like, oh, the emotions are high, right? So when emotions are high, and especially on the downward trend, you start getting emotional, you start getting freaked out, you start fearing. When emotions are high, I say this nearly every single day to clients, to people that I'm talking to. When emotions are high, logic is low or intelligence is low. And you have to get out of the emotional side of investing. And you have to either take your profit and be okay with it and not be like, oh, I should have waited, I should have waited, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, profit is profit. You take it if you want, or you wait and you man up or you woman up and you be like, do you know what? Like, you know, you make that decision to either hold or to sell or to buy more as well. So, you know, if we all could say, oh, geez, I wish I, waited another while, or, if we all had this crystal ball, we can't predict the future, Karen, but we can create it. And how we create it is we accumulate assets. But we don't worry about when the price goes down, because that's just the price, relative to the market. It's not the actual value of it, and people get mixed up between price and value. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. And when it comes to clients, I always say to them, like, zoom out, you know, zoom out. Don't worry. Worrying is you're only, when you worry, you only pray for what you want that won't happen, or sorry, that will happen, So like you have to be really mindful of not getting too excited when it goes up and not getting too down when it goes down. You know, yeah, for example, the gold and silver run there, a couple of weeks back, I was like, I was like excited. I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah.
Only because I didn't care because, like this is long-term holding. This is legacy changing. This is lineage changing. This is my vision. It might not be other people's vision, but this could be, this is going to change up my children's children's children, So, and this is what you have to think. You can't think about, even fees, small little fees and stuff. I don't worry about small little fees because it's like in the grand scheme of things, like you can make so much more than a €2 fee when you exchange euro to USD on Revolut or something. Oh, the fees. I'm just like, if you think about this, you're thinking too small. But anyway, like when it comes to the down part of you know the when the market starts to trend down, you just have to zoom out and just be like, chill, like yeah, you literally have it in front of you. You're holding it in your hand. It doesn't matter, like, or you see the numbers on the screen. It doesn't matter. You just have to be able to deal with your emotions, because you can't.
I
Yeah,
try
yeah,
to get clients
yeah.
to get excited when the price goes down,
Oh yeah, yeah,
because I say to them, hey, we
yeah,
got sales on at the
yeah,
moment. This is a time to go shopping.
exactly.
And that's I try to say to them, yeah, we get excited because quite often when the price goes up, they're saying to me, have I missed the boat?
Oh
And I'm trying
yeah,
to say
yeah,
no,
yeah,
because eventually it'll keep going up.
yeah,
You know that I do a lot on cycles.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So for me, I always have that perspective
Mm.
that it will go up.
Of course, it has to.
And
It has
yeah,
to go up. Like,
so
you know.
when it drops down, I'm getting really excited. I can
Yeah,
get in there. I talk a lot about price cost averaging, so
yeah,
bringing that average price
yeah.
down that you've spent on it.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's how I try to work with clients. I try to say,
yeah,
get excited because the price has gone down. Don't
exactly.
fear it.
And you know what's really interesting as well? It's like whenever they print money, and they will continue to print money for the foreseeable future. How long the foreseeable future is, nobody knows, but they will continue to print it. Even even Mr. Trump, he's going to continue to. He just released
Well,
another.
I'll
Are
give you
you
a bit
there?
of news because what I saw yesterday
Hmm.
is that America has moved from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, you'll be happy to hear that.
yeah.
That's what you're saying about.
Exactly. And all they're going to be doing is they're going to turn on the money printer. And what happens then? More monies or more currency comes into circulation. And then what happens? The price of assets rise. But the price of assets rise, and then the people, because they're still using this old programming of saving, 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 they're not actually investing into assets. They're saving, they're leaving it in the bank. They're the
Mm,
ones losing out because
yeah,
they don't listen to the likes of you and me, Karen. They don't, they listen to their broke Uncle Joe, or Mary down the road who is like, knee deep in debt. Oh, but she has a new car. That new car she has on credit.
yeah,
She doesn't even own it,
yeah,
So so it's a really interesting, like I learned this from and Pat as well, Pat Slattery. I learned this from Pat many years ago. He said, if you follow the masses, the M is usually silent. And
yeah.
that has stuck with me because if you just go against the grain, if you do something just a little bit different, just a little bit out there, that's where fortune favors the brave and the richness, the abundance comes in. I even said it today to a client of mine. I was like, he needed to do something. I was like, well, have you done it? He was like, oh no, I was afraid. I was like, well, fortune favors the brave. Let me know how you get on. So yeah, it's just
Yeah, I always try to do that distinction
mm,
between trading, which is
mm,
following trends,
mm,
and investing, which is contrarian.
mm,
And one of the problems I see out there at the moment
yeah.
is the word trading.
Yeah,
Everything is trading, uh,
yeah,
but it's not. I mean, you and I understand there's a big difference between being a trader and being an investor. And
yeah,
we're talking about investing.
exactly. And
That's a totally different mindset.
yeah,
You don't listen to what the masses are doing. You stick with what your strategy is, what your plan is.
yeah,
You go against. Now, traders, they can make a lot of money in a very short
oh,
time.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
They burn out
Yeah.
very quickly. Investors
Mm,
are normally 100 times wealthier
yeah,
than traders,
yeah,
plus it's legacy that they can pass on.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And I think,
and yeah, it just seems, and it is one thing that really annoys me is when people talk trading all the time, and I'm
yeah,
thinking, no, you're not a trader. You don't have the mindset for it
exactly.
because traders can't fear losing money because they lose most of their money anyway. They just have a few trades that work for them.
And do you know what I find really interesting about that is in the last couple of weeks, since, for example, crypto and Bitcoin has gone down, right? There's been a massive rug pull. There's been a lot of talk about Epstein and all this sort of stuff, right? Every year there's something, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Anyway, that's not to say that the people that are mentioned in Epstein should be in jail. They absolutely should be. But anyway, I'll digress on to another point. Um, so when it comes to the fact that everything in the crypto land is down, it's in the red, right? I have been seeing a lot of online exchanges, like for example, crypto, like for example, Binance, Coinbase, pump out so much marketing material that that try and get the masses in to pump up the price.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I put it up in the Cashflow Club Ireland group, and I was like, look at the marketing that they're doing to try and prop up the cryptocurrency here, like, whether it's Bitcoin or XRP or whatever. And I'm like, that is so interesting in terms of psychology of people and money and all that. That I find is so interesting. And you'll see so much. ads on, the Trading 212 or the Giro or eToro. There, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
trade your money for, a stock or a share. And it's how these billion-dollar regulated SEC regulated companies, centralized companies, right? These are centralized companies
Yeah.
promoting a decentralized asset, make it make sense. But anyway, I'll wait.
Yeah.
So, how they do that in terms of they have $1 billion, or multi-million-dollar marketing team that just generate marketing material for the masses to invest in. And then I think to myself, okay, if I follow the masses, the M is usually silent, so it is so interesting. You go against the grain,
Yeah.
which favors the brave.
And you're right about the marketing
Mm,
because those businesses have become so big,
mm,
and that's one of the problem with a lot of these wealth businesses,
yeah,
managed funds, everything like that. They have become so big
yeah,
that they have to keep bringing people in when the markets go down.
yeah, exactly.
I remember, and going back to when we had COVID,
Yeah,
and then I quite often have Bloomberg running while I'm working in
nice,
the morning.
nice.
And I remember this caption across the ticker that goes across the bottom of the screen, and it was BlackRock. And BlackRock was saying, we need a bailout of $1 trillion.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm thinking, hang on, $1 trillion is that just blows most people's mind when you're talking about those numbers.
yeah.
And then about, I'm not sure, it was 21, 22, when their accounts came out, they posted the biggest loss in corporate history.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the CEO said people stopped investing.
Mm,
And I thought, that's it in a nutshell. They're
mm,
too big, just
yeah,
too big. Because when you get too big, you get to that stage where you have got to keep people coming in. You've got to spend the money on advertising because you've
yeah.
got to keep them in to feed the, I don't know what you would call it, but
The
to
beast.
feed the
The
monster. Yeah,
beast.
the beast, the monster that you've
Yeah, yeah.
created there.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't trust Larry Fink at all. So anyway, we won't go down that route, although
No,
I
we'll keep
could.
this nice and quiet and gentle for
Exactly.
people to learn from.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's one of those I write a lot about cottage industry.
yeah, yeah.
But I don't mean going and growing your own veg.
Mm,
When I refer to cottage industry, I refer to small businesses
mm, yeah.
like we do. We're small businesses,
Mm,
right? And it's those small businesses that when these big ones, when we have the recessions and things, the big businesses fail. Small businesses all start up, or the
mm,
small existing ones are able to grow a little bit.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
the backbone of everything.
Yeah, exactly. They're effectively like, the way you have the working class, you have the middle class, and then you have the upper class, right? The middle class is effectively those small businesses. They're
Yeah.
the actual engines. They're the ones that, are actually indirectly employing others. They might be a one or two man or two woman show, like, two or three people that are working, let's say, in a small little bakery or something, but indirectly they're getting their ingredients, they're getting their this, they're getting their that from all, and it's all a kind of a web, and that's where they thrive under certain conditions, like whether it's
Hmm.
sometimes, for example, like fast food, trucks and stuff like that, they thrive in recessions. Why? Because people don't have the money to go out to the Michelin stars, and they decide, you know what, I'll get a chipper down the road here, and they just thrive, like,
You know, I'm so glad you say that because I always say the best business in a recession is a fish and chip shop.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But at the same time, I'm a big kind of advocate of the MAHA movement. Making America healthy again, but making yourself healthy again. So like yeah, takeaways I have them not all the time, but every time
Hmm.
you have to have you have to splash out a little bit. But no, I mean like look, the those kind of small medium businesses, like they are the backbone because they create the creativeness of the person, the entrepreneur that comes out in them. Like, and those entrepreneurs, they might work, 10, 12, 14, 16 hour days getting their business up and running because they don't want to trade 8 hours, for somebody to tell them what to do,
Yeah,
So, but at the same time, like they give so much to the society as well, and I think it's very like I'm a big supporter of small and medium businesses because I think that for anyone to go after and even start a business, it's a daunting task. And for
yeah,
anyone to put themselves out there to be like, "Do you know what? I'm drawing a line in a line in the sand here, and I'm going to go forward. I'm going to do what I want to do." Like I know this woman who just set up a new Reiki kind of healing room, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely, let's go. Like, well done, because life is too short. Like this is, I get goosebumps, when I say this. Like life is too short. This isn't a dress rehearsal. You get one shot at this, so you might as well go and do something. And I learned this actually from a not a podcast, yeah, podcast I was listening to recently, right? Where this guy, I think it was Gary Fox, I forget his Instagram page, but Gary Fox anyway, he's a podcaster in Ireland, and he was interviewing this guy, and this guy said, if you ever wanted a raise in your job, just leave your job, right? Set up a business, whatever business that might be. It doesn't even have to make any money, right? But at least you're the founder of that business.
yeah.
And then go back in a year or two later, then get a job. And when I heard that, I was just like, oh, that's actually interesting. Like, because again, setting up a business, it requires a different set of skills than just showing up and clocking into a job, even
Yeah.
though the job might have certain skills that you need, but it requires a different mindset as well. And not many people really understand that the employee versus entrepreneur mindset is so different, it's really interesting, it's a great journey for anyone that
It is.
thinks
And,
that way.
we're here talking about wealth,
Mm,
business and wealth is what we're talking about today.
mm,
And my philosophy is you start a business.
mm,
uh, That generates the cash for you to be able to go and invest. You
yes.
might not want to have a business. You might not want to doing, you might love your job that you've got, but the business generates the cash.
Yeah.
It gives you the mindset to be an investor. And I think it's just, it doesn't need to be a big business. You could just be, I use affiliate marketing as an example because
Fine. Yeah.
it's, you do have to follow a system to build an affiliate marketing
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
but it's something you can run on the side if you want to keep your
Exactly.
job. But
Exactly.
it changes the mindset.
Yeah.
And anything you do in investing, it's the mindset that um, I think that's what holds people back.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting as well? Like, because I kind of started off, in my entrepreneurial journey, I started off in the online marketing space. And for me, the skills that I learned, the systems, when I started delving into that, I actually then started exceeding in my job. I started learning more about my job. I started learning more about myself. So then I showed up differently in my job, which then reflected in my pay rises. And then I went out on my own, and became self-employed. So like, for people that are kind of like that want that security of a job, and that's okay if you want that security, and you know they need that security. And I was like, well, I know another place that has, 100, high level security, and they give you 3 meals a day, and you can go
Yeah.
outside once a day, like, if that's the security that you want. Oh, no, no,
Yeah.
not that security. I don't want to go to jail. But like, so for people, if they still want their job, then do something on the side. It doesn't have to be this $1 million yacht, buying Ferrari driving lifestyle. But if it pulls in an extra couple of quid a month that pays for something
The
in
silver coin.
yeah, like it just makes sense. Like it just, to me, it makes logical sense. And to me, at the time when I was 25, it did. And I was just like, yeah, I'm all in on this. And then the skills that I learned, the negotiating skills, the branding, the selling, the marketing, the communication skills. That just completely changed my
Yeah.
whole mindset. And then again, I applied these skills in my day-to-day job. And then I just started doing better and better. And I was like, oh, okay. I started presenting more. I started getting up and doing projects that I wouldn't do in my job and stuff. And then that allowed me into, moving into a full-time self-employed role. Like, and that's not for everybody, but at the same time, it is for anybody if they want to pursue something, you know?
One of the things that's interesting
Mm.
is obviously I follow Britain quite closely
Yeah.
and Europe.
Yeah.
Now, in the news today for Britain, Britain has just reached its highest level of unemployment since COVID.
Oh, geez.
You take COVID out, it's the highest level of unemployment in
Wow.
decades and decades. I can't remember the exact number years at the moment. In the last quarter, 134,000 jobs went. People lost jobs. Those jobs aren't out there for them
Mm.
to go and get another job.
Yeah.
Having that small business, if they'd spent the time
Mm.
when they were working to build a small business, they would have something that they could fall back onto.
Exactly.
Now there's a lot of people who are either trying to claim benefits at the moment
Yeah.
or trying to build businesses. And
Yeah.
I remember back to the recession in 2008,
Yeah.
record number of people were starting up their own businesses
Mm.
because there was no jobs for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the credit crunch when, and that was a global. And I think we're heading into a global recession as well. So, you
You
know,
know, yeah. This
building
is,
those jobs as quick, not jobs, sorry, building a small business,
mm,
the ones I call the cottage industries, just
yeah.
building those and having something there that you can actually scale
Yeah.
if you need it as a full time. And so to me, those businesses are really essential for your own financial security.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't actually understand that. And I think COVID was a big wake up call for a good chunk of people. They
Yeah.
kind of were just they had a bit of time and they were like, do you know what? Maybe now is the time to start that. And they're only kind of starting it now. Um, but I definitely think like, and me being Irish and like I want Britain to do well. Why? Because Ireland's biggest trading partner is Britain. So
Mm.
like I don't think, yeah, okay, Ireland's in the EU. We get a little bit of funding from the EU. We've got multinational companies, and 1 in 4 people are employed in Ireland by a multinational company, which is fine. There's a lot of tax benefits in Ireland. A lot of people that don't understand the tax benefits for big corporations to stay in Ireland is a big thing. But at the same time, we and our other biggest trading partner is America, or the US. So we need both countries on either side of us to do well. And if
Yeah.
they're not doing well, eventually over time, Ireland then begins to crumble as well. And not many people are actually seeing this. And that's why it frightens me when I hear those, statistics. And to be honest, I would expect it the way Britain is being ran at
Yeah.
the moment, not to get too political or anything
Yeah.
like that. But like the way it is being ran, it's just like how like numbers don't lie, people lie, but numbers don't lie, And the thing is, when it comes to all of this, there's massive opportunity in the UK right now, like massive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a mentality of there that it's like the mentality for a lot of and the majority is, oh, I don't need to work. I don't need to be in a job or I don't need to start up a business because I'm getting free handouts here. Now, saying that is going to trigger people, and I get that. But at the same time, that's the reality for a lot of people. Not all, just a lot. And there needs to be that change up you know, in leadership, and again, when I look at, leaders of countries, I always kind of think to myself, like, Jesus, like if I had to, would I follow them into a war? It's like, ooh, is there anyone at the moment? Maybe the ones that have bad names by the mainstream media, which we won't go into, but it's just so interesting. Like when you the thing about business and wealth is when you get into it, when you start into it, you start actually getting a macro level approach and a macro level view of politics, of the world, how it's being ran. Because why? When you're an entrepreneur and you have a business, you may need grants from the government. And if the government is grant heavy or grant less and they want to take away the grants or they want to give more grants, then it kind of dictates a little bit on where you put your vote if you decide to vote. Now, I know a lot of people that are getting off the register, because left wing, right wing doesn't matter. But again, we won't go down that route. But so it can mean, that having certain parties and stuff like that can mean the difference between your business and no business, unfortunately. So it's a sticky situation. Yeah, like look, I was just over in London there recently. Um, yeah, yeah, very interesting. Different changes. It was okay. Like, I've been in London before, not many times, and sometimes you can get also bogged down in the mainstream media and what they say, and then what alternative media says as well. And you're like, what do you believe in? And what do you see for yourself and stuff like that. So you just have to have a balanced approach as well when dealing with that, particularly when when you're an entrepreneur, when you're in business, you have to have that balanced approach and you have to be not too emotional as well, but it's frightening statistics though.
It is, yeah.
you know?
Now, I'm pretty conscious that we're on a bit of a timeline here
Yeah,
tonight.
yes.
So I am going to wind up now. I think we're going to have to get you back for another
Yeah, yeah,
session
absolutely.
because
Part two, yeah.
I've enjoyed this.
Thank
It's
you.
nice talking to
Yeah.
you and actually having someone with the same similar
Mhm.
ideas and foundations. So,
Yeah.
Carl, how could people get hold of you?
Yeah, well, they can jump on the Cashflow Club Ireland Facebook group. They can connect with me on Facebook, Karl Davidson. They can follow me on Instagram, Karl Davidson. They can follow us on Instagram, Cashflow Club Ireland on Instagram, LinkedIn, Karl Davidson as well, Snapchat, KDAV29. I'm not on TikTok because I've lived in China, so that's again maybe a topic for another part two. But yeah, and what else? Yeah, you can just reach out to me as well. Like
So you're on most social media platforms,
yeah, absolutely.
either under Cashflow Club Ireland or
Or
under
or
your own name.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm always looking forward to connecting with new people as well and making people richer.
Carl, it has been fabulous having you on here. I've really enjoyed the chat tonight and
Perfect.
hope to catch up with you again soon.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Karen. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.